Hey guys, we have a $100 AFCO gift card and 4 LK lures rigged with beast hooks to give away. All you have to do is fill out a short survey and enter your email address in the box below. The link is located on Instagram and at the podcast description. Giveaway ends July 11th. My birthday, bro. And thanks again for all the support. We really appreciate it. Check out LK Lures on Instagram. They make amazing weedless baits. And check out AFCO. Big supporter, Matt Florentino. Really appreciate it, bro. Later. This episode is brought to you by Dark Waters Performance Dive Co. They manufacture top-of-the-line gear for spearfishing and free diving in Southern California. If you're looking for a custom float line for hunting a fish of a lifetime, Dark Waters can build it for you. They also offer FII Level 1 free diving classes. If you're brand new and want to learn how to free dive or spearfish, they can definitely help you out. Check them out at darkwaters.co. And if you have any questions, send them an email to sales@darkwaters.co. Go buy their shit. It's lifetime guaranteed. Take their classes, dive deeper, longer, and harder. If you guys want to buy some gear from there, they're going to give a promo code, InnerCastCrank, on their website for classes or for 15% off an order. Again, check them out at darkwaters.co. And that's how we're going to start it, with the bottle popping. Huh? Welcome to Cast and Crank Podcast. Today we have Ollie Hussainy from Bloodydecks.
Yes, sir.
Did I say it right?
Close enough.
Okay.
Bloodydecks, BD Outdoors.
There you go, dude. Great get for us. This is a really big guest. I'm sure everyone's kind of started with fishing by looking at Bloodydecks, at least in the younger generation with the internet, stuff like that. So let's start with your passion for fishing, how it all started.
Oh, man, that's a long story. But I think like a lot of people, I got my start trout fishing. Mm-hmm. My mom was actually a really good trout fisherman. My mom's family was all in the Navy. So I've got an Arab half of my family and I've got an Irish half. The weirdest mix ever. So fortunately, the Irish half was redneck and they kind of all taught us how to fish and hunt and shoot guns and all those important life skills, ride motorcycles, all that kind of stuff. So I started off in the Sierras, man. My grandparents would kidnap me every summer, like awesome. Middle of June, and I would not come home until 3 days before school started. Wow. And we either had cabins in the mountains or stay in the motorhome or whatever. And I had a bike with probably one of the first rod racks on it ever that my grandpa built me on the back of it. Wow. And dude, I just get on my bike and disappear. Those were the best days ever, and you don't even know it when you're there,
Yeah. Did you grow up in San Diego too?
Yeah, born and raised.
Wow.
East County, San Diego.
Yeah.
Which is redneck town too, so I've developed a lot of skills.
Yeah, but by the looks of you, people could never tell you're half and half.
No, I'm really, we get
which
that
is
all the
kind
time.
of weird, right?
Yeah, my brothers love to fish and hunt and do all that same stuff. They kind of followed in my footsteps. I got real crazy about fishing and kind of roped them into it. And now it's been a lot of years. I think I caught my first trout. I was 4 or something like that. Totally cried like a pussy. I just remember being scared as shit. Some trout farm up around Tahoe. Like one of those things you take a kid to. Yeah. Dude, I dropped my first fish, freaked out, crying. They got it all. They got pictures of the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Scar me for life. I don't cry that much anymore for fish, but
I could still remember too. I the first time I caught a fish was at Ralph B. Clark right up here. I went fishing with my uncle, and I caught the fucking hook on the backside of my leg casting. And I remember I never wanted to fish after that ever again. And I didn't until I was fucking 29 years old.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's a
I
long
didn't start
break.
till I was 29. Yeah.
Wow.
From my son. But man, so as you got older, did your passion just stay there? Were you like set into like, I love fishing, this is what I do? Or did you kind of go, I got into sports? Or
in the high school years, I think I never left it. I had some buddies in high school that we fished with, but then there was plenty of partying and chasing girls and doing all that other normal stuff, sports or whatever. Never really went away from it. I wouldn't say I ever went more than I don't know, a couple months without catching a fish, but it wasn't like when we were real young and, you know, you weren't doing that stuff. I mean, same thing. We had bikes. I had San Vicente, El Cap, a couple of really good reservoirs out there near me in East County. And so we bass fish like crazy. Me and my brother and my buddies on the weekend, you know, we get the parents to drop us off with a crispy $20 bill and have to entertain ourselves all day. Mm-hmm. And during the summers, you know, my first exposure to ocean fishing was young, but we were just fishing off the pier at OB. So you catch a bunch of shit like opal eye and, you know, a couple little halibut and all that. And I thought that was cool. And it was, you know, back in the day when, 30 years is... Yeah, so a long time, more than 30 years ago, when my mom could literally drop a 12-year-old off with my little 8-year-old brother and just, you know, entertain ourselves. Yeah. But like a real turning point for me was in I think in junior high. We had a buddy's dad who still to this day, he's a mechanic for the sport boats. And he'd go to work, and during the summer, he'd drop us off on the bait barge from his little boat, and then he'd go over and work on the RPE or whatever. And I caught my first bonita, and it was over. I mean, you can't catch a bass after catching a bonita. Are you kidding me? That was like cow tuna fishing back in those days. So after that bonita, everything changed. And, you know, through high school, I really started to get into ocean and all that. And then right after high school, I started going to Baja. Had some friends that were a little bit ahead of me on the fishing curve, had a private boat. I fished with them. Went to Baja. We did all that trailer boat stuff, you know, the aluminum boats and pongas and all that. And it just really just blossomed from there.
Wow. So you're in your, 20s? When did you really think about the Bloodydecks whole idea?
That was, you know, the start of it was Jason, my partner.
Okay.
So we were all, it goes back even further than that. I was a video game nerd. I worked in the video game business for years. Mm-hmm. Jason was an even bigger video game dork. And we used to play online games. And we both found fishing forums. And at those days, it was All Coast. Okay. And there was another forum, too, called the Buddy Boaters in San Diego, which you guys probably aren't even old enough for. But anyway, they were the first. And, you know, back then, All Coast had like 6,000 members. It was massive, you know. And so All Coast kind of melted down, had a kooky owner, and chased a lot of people off, and then we went to Buddy Boaters. And then that guy was just as kooky or more, you know, at the time, and kind of that thing imploded. And Jason's like, look, I want to start my own fishing forum where you can cuss, you can say whatever you want, you can, because those guys tried to censor. And you can't, dude, and social media, if nothing else, has taught us, you know, you can't censor people. You got to let people be people. And that was our whole thing. You want to come on here and say fuck? Have at it. You know, and in the early days, it was wild, like grossly inappropriate, horrible shit that would probably get us thrown in jail today. And then, you know, over the years, just grew and grew. And we kind of tried to stay out of it, let people do what they want to do. And Bloodydecks became a place where there was doctors and lawyers, there was ex-cons, there was construction workers. Everybody was passionate about fishing. And they all got together, shared their passions, you know, and made a lot of great relationships. And it's should have been... I think we started in March 2003, so this is 16 years.
Wow, dude.
Since we started. Yeah, it's crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the growth, I mean...
Oh, it was great. Like I said, All Coast, I think we started was like 6,000 members, and in like a year, we had passed them, or a year and a half, and we have 120,000 registered members now.
Wow.
The numbers are pretty staggering.
So are you guys like the biggest... I don't know, because SoCal, it's like Bloodydecks is the thing. Is it the biggest? Like
where there's not a bigger sport fishing website in the world. Even the big magazines with all that money behind them and all that stuff. Yeah. They've never been able to attract the audience that we have.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
I'm super proud of it. And the fact that it hasn't melted down, you know, because so many of those ones, ego got in the way or business or whatever. Our forum traffic, to be truthful, is not what it used to be. But everybody reads our articles instead. And the forum, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was going to get at, is that's completely true, I think, too.
A lot of the forum stuff has gone to Facebook and Instagram. You know, we were the original social media for fishermen. Yeah. Like, I know for me and Jason, we met each other and we're like, holy shit, you want to fish every day? I want to fish every day. Like, this is great. You know, now I got somebody to fish with. And you had no way of finding other guys that were just as weird about fishing as you were back in the day. And now you're like, dude, here's 1,000 guys. And they're all crazy about fishing like I am. Oh, and hey, this guy can help me fix my engine, you know, and this dude is great at this. And, you know, you make these relationships with guys, and the majority of my close friends, 16 years later, I met all through BD.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy how it works out that way. You know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys I know that met on BD that are lifelong friends, and you know, it's really been a cool, fun ride.
Yeah, definitely. And there's no moderator. That's the kind of.
We do have.
Well,
one.
I mean,
you got to do some pretty horrible shit to get moderated?
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah, and we get that. You know, horribly racist stuff.
Yeah.
And whatever. You know, we try to keep it as light as possible. It's funny. Like years and years ago, we're like, we kind of want the tone of the site to be like old school movie, right? It's not appropriate.
Yeah.
But everybody likes it. You know, and even your dad would probably think it's funny and all that kind of stuff. So as long as you're not attacking anybody, threatening anybody, or doing anything crazy, racist or stupid, you know, we roll with it.
Yeah, you see people get fucking burnt down, dude, on some of these posts, dude.
It regulates itself a lot, for sure. Like if you come in there like an asshole or an idiot or whatever, those guys will burn you down.
Yeah.
And we let it happen. Like, you know, at some level, it's so big, it's got to be able to kind of watch itself.
Yeah. So when you started doing it, you had your regular job.
Yeah, so I was working in the video game business.
Okay.
Actually, no, I had just left the video game business, and I started. I took all the marketing experience I got from doing that. I started in the video game industry when PlayStation 1 came out.
Okay.
So I was like the OG. I was there for 8 or 9 years, and that's when video games got to be bigger than the film industry.
Yeah.
So like I got to work with brilliant people, and I'm not dumb, but I was the dumbest guy in every room I sat in. Like just lots of smart guys. I learned a lot about marketing and all that. And then I kind of applied that to my own business after that. I was supposed to get transferred to Minneapolis.
Wow.
With fishing, that was not going to happen. So I worked for Activision just up the road, actually.
Yeah, in Irvine, right?
They're in Santa Monica.
Santa Monica.
Yeah, and they were the number 2 publisher. Now they're the biggest in the world, like many times over. And so they wanted to transfer my division. I wasn't having it. And so I started my own business doing silk screening, embroidery, signs, doing all that stuff. And that fed right into BD. So we all got booted off of the Buddy Boaters forum. I couldn't figure out where everybody went. Ran into a buddy at the ramp. He's like, go to Bloodydecks. So I went in there. I was like, oh shit, it's all the same characters.
Yeah.
And I reached out to Jason. I'm like, this is awesome. We say whatever we want. We got awesome fish reports. I mean, the best fishermen in Southern California were there putting up reports and sharing info and doing all that. And I'm like, let me make some stickers. You know, so I knocked out some of the original tuna stickers. And then I started, let's do some t-shirts. And, you know, we would go to the ramp on Saturday to launch our boat, and we'd be slinging shirts and stickers out of the back of a truck as fast as you could. And then finally, sorry for the sniffling, man. I got a sinus infection.
No, I think everyone's the same.
Okay, I feel like I'm sniffling my brains. So anyway, so we did Day at the Docks. The first time was like, I want to say 05, 06, something like that. And dude, we sold like $4,000 worth of shirts and hats and stickers in a day.
Awesome.
And we're like, holy shit. And people were rabid. I mean, I don't know how long you guys been on the site, but the Bloodydecks salute. I mean, people walking by, flipping us off. First year we did Fred Hall. It was nuts. People were just so rabid for the brand and everything that we stood for. We actually almost got thrown out of Fred Hall our first year.
Shit.
Bart Hall and Mike Lum came over and they screamed at me for freaking we had stickers stuck to everything that wasn't moving and some things that were inside of that conference hall. And I took my lumps like a big boy, and I'm like, I apologize for that. That was not our goal. I'm going to rounded up 10 guys. I'm like, go get every sticker you can off of everything in here. And ever since then, they're like, we really appreciate that. Thank you for having like an adult. And to this day, me, Mike, and Bart are good friends. So it's been a crazy ride, but a lot of it was built on those t-shirts and hats and the awesome, fans that our site has had and users over the years and their passion for fishing.
Do you still do the silk screening thing? Or do you
No. So like in 2008, the economy crashed, right? All my clients were primarily automotive, real estate, and construction. The 3 hardest hit sectors.
Yeah, really.
And I had like 15 employees. I owned all the equipment. I had the best crew ever. And my business 1 year was down 25%. The next year was down 30.
Oh my God.
I mean, dude, it was devastating. So and that was 08, 09. And, they say that the hard times are kind of define who you are. In 09, so I was losing everything I had. I'd started that business with like $250,000 that I'd sold my first house. Everything's going great. Making money, I'm growing, I'm doing all this stuff, and then just got wiped out. And then in 09, as things were, I hadn't slept in 2 years, I bet you, from 08 to mid 09.
Fuck.
January, my aunt dies. February, my mom drops dead at 57.
Oh my God,
March, my grandfather dies. And in September, my grandmother died. I mean, my dad had 2 dead people living in his house in 5 months. you can't, nothing matters at that point.
Yeah.
Everything else is bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the one thing that my mom always wanted me to do, follow your passion. You got to make this Bloodydecks thing a job. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a fishing forum where we say bad words and share tuna reports. You know what I mean? And she's just like, you got to find a way. Just like that. And she was always my biggest supporter. And so after that, she died in late January. That summer, everything had just gone to shit. I hadn't slept in a couple years. I'm losing my friggin' mind, stressed like I can't even tell you. And I'm just like, fuck it. You know, we already did a little bit of advertising, like Berkeley back then. They loved what we were doing, gave us a check. Avet was one of our very early supporters. Mm-hmm. And I told Jason, I'm like, look, I got to go sell an extra, I want to say it was like $3,000 a month. So me and him could both get shitty little paychecks, way less than I'd been making in the past, but at least I was doing what I wanted. And I think I had like a 6 months window to do it. I did it in like, I don't know, even 60 days. Like, so all of a sudden now I get to work in the field that I'm passionate about. Right.
Awesome.
And from there, it's just been, you know, it's just grown from there. And we've kind of like tried to identify stuff that has value to fishermen, you know, like from, you will never charge for BD. People are like, dude, get all these assholes out of here. Charge $10 a month. I'll pay it in a second. No, we want everybody to have access to it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great plan.
Same with our advertisers. You know, at this point, there is not a single major fishing manufacturer that we don't do business with. You know, but we try to be real genuine because we're the guys on the other side of the table. You know, we just love.
So you feel like you're trying to stay neutral too with all the companies when you're advertising.
You have to when you're doing that stuff. You know, and that's where the TV show since then has made things a little weird for me because in order to have a TV show, you have to have sponsors. And in order to have sponsors, basically, you know, Penn is our tackle sponsor. So me personally now, I can't be out there, you know, pushing Shimano stuff, and you know, it just wouldn't be fair. And so there is a lot of those lines, but you know, and early on when you're a website and you're new and you're young, everybody's like, well, I just want to be a real guy. Well, but that's not how a magazine works. And that's exactly what we're a magazine, man. We need multiple sponsors to pay our bills and, you know, be able to offer what we offer. And so it has been a challenge.
And I feel like this is a podcast for me. I feel like you're talking to me right now.
I'm telling you, man, there's so many guys that want to get in this business and make money. And it's just like, over the years, I've seen tons and tons of people who've had a lot of money that have tried to get into this business and can't do it because they don't have the passion or they think it's something you can buy your way into. Honestly, man, we stumbled into it and we took advantage of a very good situation. We tried to always be cool with everybody. We tried to keep it really, you know, to our core. Like, we're not suits that are trying to sell you a FishDope subscription. You know, I'm out there on Thursdays fishing my ass off so I can get as much information as I can to give value to our members. And at the end of the day, it's always got to be value, you know? And I saw with the magazines, like a lot of times they're like, hey, give me money. I'm the magazine, you know? And like, well, what are you giving back or what are you doing or whatever? They aren't, you know? And there's not like, it goes top to bottom, charity work, right? I just left a CCA meeting. I'm a pretty busy dude, you know, and my time's worth something now. And it's something I believe in, giving back to our sport, getting more people fishing, protecting our rights to fish. The average fisherman in California doesn't even know what CCA is, or is like, oh, that's somebody else's problem. You know, CCA is the model for our fishery to have a voice going forward, and it's so important. So even though people might not see it, might not appreciate it, it's not something I put on my, you know, shirt or anything like that, but I'm out there just trying to do my bit. I'm so lucky to make a living, you know, doing what I love. Like, why wouldn't I protect our fishery? Why wouldn't I protect our business and all the other good stuff that comes with it?
Definitely. Yeah. We had Chris on and Wing from CCA on an episode, and they're real nice guys. Yeah.
Super.
And it was cool to learn about. I didn't know anything about it really. All I knew was the MLPA, because I used to surf fish and they closed Laguna, and that was my spot. And they closed it when I was into surf fishing in the beginning, so it was kind of shitty. And, you know, he kind of explained a lot of it to us, and that was really cool for him to do that, you know, and they're super nice guys.
That was another thing. That was the first iteration, the MLPA fight. Like, I rallied everybody that we had, every one of our fans, as hard as we could, and I learned some valuable lessons. Everybody wants to go fishing. Nobody gives a shit about the fishery. It's totally true, man. Everybody just wants to go fishing, and protecting our fishery is someone else's job. You know, and okay, for guys that do it as a hobby, I do totally understand that. You know, a lot of the political stuff going on today, like, I just stick my head in the sand. I used to be really into following that stuff, and at some point I'm just like, dude, that's not bringing value to my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard one too. I mean, even though if you're doing it for a hobby, like they might be closing some of the spots you love.
Oh, the MLPA fight's coming back again. There's no question.
Yeah.
And the thing that we saw with the first MLPA go around was apathy. And that is the single biggest problem with our community of fishermen is everybody's apathetic as shit. Like, oh, somebody else will handle it. Oh, AFCA will step up. Oh, somebody. Dude, $30 a year. Be a CCA member. Volunteer at one event. It's not that big a deal. It's not that much time. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys with less time than you have that are making the time to make this stuff happen. And, you know, I write checks. Real money, checks, hard money, not just giving away promotion or a free ad or something, because I believe in it and because I support it. And I feel like that's a big responsibility on our part, is if we're making our living out of this fishery or the sport, is to give back as much as we can, you know? And now that we're in a position where we can do that, we try to every chance we get.
Yeah, definitely. Great. So you have a couple boats? You own a couple boats?
Yeah, too many right now.
You got any good, we like boat stories from people too. I mean, I'm sure you've had a couple rookie mistakes maybe.
Oh yeah, I've done some dumb shit for sure. You know, one of my favorite ones of don't do as I did is back in the day when when BD first started. I had a 20-foot center console, little twin V, and I took that thing places I wouldn't even consider today. Like, it was crazy. And I was trolling for albacore back in the glory days of the albacore years. I had a job when I was in video games where I kind of made my own schedule. So I get all my shit done early in the morning. I go fish, and then I come back at night and pound out the rest of it. So I ended up fishing it by myself a lot during, you know, midweek, leaving at noon or whatever and all that. So I was like almost to the butterfly bank in that little boat, which is 60 miles west.
Wow.
And there's different zones of weather here. Every 20 miles or so, the ocean gets bigger as you go outside. Maybe every 30 miles or whatever. And this was an okay weather day, but I'm trolling, and being a lazy dude, I didn't want to stop the boat to take a leak. So I'm just going back my boat, and it had like the railings that come up over the gunnels, and I'm pissing off the side, doing your normal deal. You've done 1,000, haven't had a drink, nothing, stoned, sober, whatever. And you know, sometimes a boat will just take a weird rock. Happened to do it while I was pissing, and it shot me out of the boat.
Oh my God.
I mean, dude, one leg in the water, my ass in the water, one hand caught the railing going in as I rocked out of the boat. And it was in gear, and it was pointed west.
Fuck, man.
Oh yeah, you want to? That was
a grip of fucking God you had on there.
Oh my God, I'm serious, man. And I mean, I was on a weekday. There's nobody around. There wasn't a fucking boat in sight. I mean, that would have been the end of it for me. My boat would have just left me. I'd have got hypothermia and drowned and died.
Wow.
So that's why they have those little red things, you know, by the key switch that you actually put on your shirt
I should you do that too.
Not only,
yeah.
I'm telling
you.
You.
Do you wear that all the time now?
No, the boats are bigger. It's harder to fall out. I don't fish by myself that much anymore.
Yeah.
If I was going to do a bunch of fishing by myself, they make those wireless ones.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude, like $200. And it's kind of like an RF thing, like your key when you walk up to your car.
Yeah, that's worth it.
Key gets far enough away, the motor shuts off.
Yeah.
Like, that, to me, is worth every penny if you fish by yourself a bunch.
So how hard was it to get back in the boat?
Not that hard when you're terrified and thinking you're going to die. Dude, my fat ass got over that rail very quickly. There was like a gap, like there's a stern rail and a side rail, and I just fell right through there. And I'm telling you, I rocked weird, hit the thing. I remember just like kind of half spinning around, going out backwards, and I could see that rail as I was falling, and I just got it with my left hand, not even my dominant hand. Somehow I found a way to get my ass back in there. You want to talk about a reflective day for, like, you almost lost everything.
Yeah.
By being stupid and lazy. You know?
Dude.
Yeah, that was pretty shitty.
I've
had some other close calls and stuff, but that's
rough
just
weather and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, surfing a 70-footer from Cabo all the way to Puerto Vallarta. You do not know that. I mean, the weather gets big enough, and that boat will surf just like a freaking 19-footer. I mean, all kinds of quad hookup on big tuna. We were trolling in that shit weather because we got nothing else to do. And I mean, we broke off every single line from the stretch in the, you know,
shit.
Yeah,
going up and down,
and pulling away, the weather pulling us away. And I mean, that was not one of the smarter things we've ever done.
Wow.
You know, you gotta be real careful, man. No matter how good fishing is, it's just a fish. Even if it's a 700-pound bluefin or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't worth dying for. You gotta, safety nowadays plays a much larger part. I don't go anywhere without an e-perp. I don't go anywhere without a raft, a handheld GPS. You know, every single piece of safety equipment I can have, I've got with me. And if I'm going on someone else's boat and I'm not sure of the program, I throw that shit in my bag and I bring it with me.
Got you, right?
Yeah, it's not worth dying over.
So as the website grew, you kind of had other things grow, like you have the local knowledge thing now.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool,
so
man.
it started as BD, and then so at some point, I realized that like I would every day before we would do a trip, I would take a Terrafin, I'd print it out, and I'd take all the guys' catch reports from BD, I'd call my buddies, and I'd mark it up on there. I'm like, man, wouldn't it be cool if somebody did this digitally? So that's where we came up with FishDope, and that was kind of our second business, and that was like 08, 09. And
You were kind of the first one to kind of do the FishDope.
No, there was
thing.
976.
976, okay.
And there was Terrafin.
Okay.
And so 976 Bite and 976 Tuna, they kind of gave you the info, and Terrafin would give you the map, and you kind of had to put the two together and figure it out. So with FishDope, we kind of took them and did them together. We get daily reports from all of our members. We'd overlay it on the map. You could see where the fish were getting bit. We have these awesome satellite maps. We've got in-house PhD that generates our maps for us. I mean, we're doing stuff on a real high level. But when we launched FishDope, I think it came out in 08, economy. Remember, fuel was $5.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of members, enough to make a little money, but it never really took off.
Yeah.
And then it steadily grew, and then El Nino hit, and then our business just went. We lost a lot of guys because like in 05, 06, 07, when BD was getting rolling, there was tons of guys that were using the equity money. Everybody remembers you drive down your block and you either got a new boat, an RV, or like a toy hauler out in the driveway. Everybody had one, And so a lot of that stuff, those guys all went broke in 08, 09 because they were contractors and the same guys we're talking about. And so FishDope, it took off, but we didn't really realize the potential of it, And then since then, again, value, right? A lot of guys that fish every day, the party boat guys, think we're following them around and reporting their numbers. No, we're not. We have enough members where we have all this information coming in, and we're just sharing the information. And my whole hope with that is, I'm not here to ruin the fishery. All we're doing is making sure that a guy who has a 50, 60 hour a week job can get out and get headed in the right direction. We don't give out.
That's what I was going to ask you next is, I didn't know anything about this, and Billy kind of explained it a little to me. Did you get a lot of shit when you first kind of came out with FishDope from people?
Initially,
or was it
no.
not as big because I don't think social media was a big a presence in
I
it?
think that's a big part of it. So initially, no. Everybody was cool with it. Because all we were trying to do was... Surfline came to us and they wanted to buy us out, and they have the same model as we do. You can look at the waves for a couple of days and a forecast, and if you want to go further than that, you just pay a few bucks.
Yeah.
Right? FishDope's was back then was $1.49, $10 a month,
shit.
$12 a month.
Yeah.
Like, keeps you in the loop. We're talking to all these guys, in our network, and we're sharing that information with you. We're not talking about sea bass bites. We'll tell you there's a sea bass bite on the west end of Catalina. We're not going to tell you what spot.
Yeah.
Because the fishery just can't take that. And so there's a lot of onus on us to make sure that we're filtering that information appropriately, vetting it to make sure that we're not getting fed bullshit, sending people the right way, and kind of walking that line. And I think we're in the unique position to do that because we know this fishery as well as anybody, and we're out all the time fishing it ourselves. And we know the people that we're talking to face to face. These aren't random internet faces on Facebook. These are guys that we've known for a lot of years, and that's really
credible people.
Credible, and that's where our trust lies.
Yeah.
And you're trusting me by having a subscription to make sure I'm not feeding you bullshit. One wrong turn in your boat, you could burn 50 more gallons. $4.50 a gallon. Do the math.
Yeah.
And that's why people ask me, well, is FishDope worth it? And I'm obviously biased. I'm the first one that would say it. But if you have a private boat and you aren't using every bit of information you possibly can, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, if we save you one trip a year, but we won't. It's more than that. And the thing, too, is you can get the water maps, watch the SST charts, watch the water move. You can see where the fish are being caught. You can relate all that info. And for the average dude, who has a real job, who's doing Little League on Saturday, and he can sneak out for, a tuna trip on Sunday or whatever, it's an invaluable resource.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a line to walk there. And the guys that have given us shit are the guys that are, charter guys and all that, and think that we're, killing their bites. That's not the goal, man. The goal is to get a guy who can take out his boss or his kid, on the weekend and have a shot at catching fish. And we're not going to give him all the pieces. We're going to push him in the right direction.
Yeah.
Makes
and with
sense. Pelagic fish will tell you exactly where they were caught yesterday. Those things sticking off the side and at the back? Those are fins. They use them. They're not going to be there the next day. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
It's a difficult line to walk, and then being able to add in the spotter plane element was huge. We had a spotter plane before Sac Fleet had a spotter plane.
That was a big piece that you added to FishDope. When did you buy? When did you get that?
The plane stuff started probably 5 years ago or something like that. We didn't charge $1 more. You know,
Wow,
that we
that's
had
awesome.
enough guys where we could pool all that. We had a dream years and years ago trying to get enough guys together to hire spotter planes just in our circle. And
Yeah.
there's not enough money there, dude.
Yeah.
You know, it costs $200 an hour to fly an airplane. So you go out for 4 or 5 hours, you're doing that once or twice. I mean, do the math, right? It's just too expensive for anybody with the normal person's money to do.
Yeah.
And we were able to bring that element. So value, that's like the biggest thing. We don't want anything for free, man. You come in on our website, we're going to give you a bunch of entertainment, hours of entertainment. It doesn't cost you a nickel, right? You go on FishDope, we're going to make sure we earn that dollar. Like, and I do the same thing with our advertisers. You know, we make sure that we support them in every way we possibly can, and they're paying good money to engage our audience, and we make sure that that happens.
Yeah.
You know, and we really try to walk the line between having a good business and selling out. And like, you won't see weight loss ads on our site. You won't see us selling penis pills or,
We see those
you know,
chicks with the big titties hanging out.
yeah, I mean, there is that for sure, but that's all. That's like guys like, dude, you got gay dating ads coming up on your website. I'm like, hey, what were you just looking at?
Hey, it pays the bills, right? I'm into it.
Oh man, it's so funny. These guys will be like, they'll have the most how come I'm getting ads on your website for Taiwanese wives? I'm like, those are served based on your past interests, sir. They don't just pop up. It's so funny. Dudes will bust themselves half the time. You know, but we try to keep to the core as much as we can. We try to run a good business, and we try to support, you know, the charities and the, you know, our community as much as possible. And, you know, we've got a responsibility to do that.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. To support it that way, and the spotter plan thing, that's awesome to hear. Like, you guys didn't even charge more for that. That's pretty cool.
Nope. Just trying to add value, man.
And what about the TV show? When did that come
So
into
that
play?
was about 5 years ago or 6 years ago. We were we do a lot of stuff that like a lot the public doesn't see, but we were working with the state of Louisiana. They came to us. They're like, hey, you guys are really good at the web and attracting fishermen. We want to build a website so that people will come and fish Louisiana. Which, coming from California, you're like, what? In California, the government's trying to get you to not fish, you know, in so many ways. And they're like, come use our resource. That's what it's here for.
Yeah.
So we built this big website, and we were doing all the programming and editorial and all that. And then Jose Wehebe, the Spanish fly, was, as a friend of ours, was going to do all the video work. And that was right in the time period where Jose died. And so Jose had a right-hand man, a kid named Mikey. And Mikey was like, didn't know what to do. And so Mikey was going to take the job over. He was totally capable. He could handle the video side. And I kind of sat down with Mikey. I'm like, hey, dude, let me handle the business side. Let me run the thing, do all that. You just do what you're good at, which is videos, right? And so we kind of teamed up there. And then we took him on a trip to PEI. We give away that Race to PEI trip. Took him on a trip to produce a video. And he comes back like a week later with this video. I swear, I think I cried. It was the most bitchin' piece of content ever. I mean, I was so proud.
And
so
what year was
stoked.
this?
I don't know, man. Like, what year is it now? 19. I want to say 2013-ish.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. And so we put that thing out. Everybody loved it. It got, I don't know, 60, 80,000 views pretty quick. And the next thing I know, I've got guys in the industry like, hey, can you produce some video work for us? And we're like, well, shit. You know, I like Mikey. We get along. Let's do that. So next thing I know, we're knocking out content for AFCO. For Costa.
So you kind of had your own little deal you did where
it turned into
a video production.
A production company.
Oh, awesome.
So we started doing that stuff all behind the scenes. And then for us, business-wise, it's like, well, okay, I can make you a piece of content, but guess what? I can get it seen too. Because that was the challenge back then. You know, AFCO didn't have an Instagram. It didn't exist.
Yeah.
They might have had a Facebook, but not, you know, 30,000 followers or whatever. On BD, we have about 400,000 unique visitors a month. And we flipped 7 million pages of content. So now you made a video. I got the audience that wants to watch it. I can close that gap. Holy shit, this video thing really suits what we're doing.
Hand in hand, right?
And so we're doing that for a couple of years. And Mikey and our artist, who was a guy in Florida, Derek Redwine, who introduced me to Jose and to Mikey, they're like, dude, we got to do a TV show. And I'm like, no, fucking no, I do not want to do a show. Dude, all right.
But you're so natural on camera.
Oh, no. Oh, it's painful. I hate listening to myself. I can't stand any of that stuff. And they kept talking and talking like, okay, cool. Finally, they sold me on it, right? And the concept was to do something kind of like the original Duck Dynasty, not Duck Commander, Duck Commander, not Duck Dynasty, where it was like half industry behind the scenes, kind of seeing what was really going on in that world, and the other half was going and killing ducks. Well, we want to do kind of the same thing with fish, and we love the model, and it later turned into Duck Dynasty, one of the most successful shows ever.
Yeah.
But it kind of turned into a soap opera at that point. That wasn't what we were trying to do. And so we kind of floated that around a little bit as a concept, and it got, sort of warm reviews, but not great. It was all West Coast. And then somewhere along the line, we went fishing with one of Jose's proteges down in Florida Keys. Jose was like the mayor of the Southern Keys, man. He lived in just above Key West and all that. And a guy named Rush, who I knew through Jose, kind of just knew who he was. He kind of knew who I was, whatever. And we came up with a concept of doing an East Coast, West Coast show. Never been done, right? We don't
Just
know.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what those guys are doing over there. I mean, we think they're catching redfish or trout or something. You know what I mean? Like, we're so removed. And it's the same thing over here. We think they're all wearing Columbia shirts, sitting around smoking cigars and fly fishing. They think we're all wearing flat brims, black socks pulled up to our knees, and throwing
neck
jigs.
tattoos. Yeah,
exactly. So there is some truth to it, honestly. But like, nobody's ever really tried to bridge both sides.
Yeah.
And through this whole thing, I've always had a couple employees in Florida because there's just more talent. It was guys I knew and trusted or whatever. So I've always been really experienced in the Florida fishery and paying attention to it and all that. And I think when you grow up here, you don't realize like how good the fishing is over there. You know, like you love fishing here. You're crazy about it, all that. You're just a 4-hour flight away from another world of fishing and groupers and snappers and toothy fish, wahoos and the mackerels and the blackfin tuna and all that other stuff. Dude, I geeked out on it. It was like more I could learn about fishing. I could take some of what they were doing there, bring it here, use it successfully, vice versa. And as soon as we started telling people, hey, we're thinking about doing some East Coast, West Coast, if you're Penn, you're sponsoring a show on the West Coast and a show on the East Coast. Well, now you can only need one, and you've got two guys that are pretty credible in their own fisheries. Rush has been running charters since he could walk practically, and I'm a geek for fishing here. I've been doing it. I pay attention. I've gotten to fish with a lot of the, the best guys on our coast, and it kind of became a natural marriage. And as soon as we started kind of letting our pocket sponsors, we had guys kind of lined up as we were thinking about it, and they're like, we love it. Costa's in, AFCO's in. Penn came along a little longer, but that was not a tough sell. And, a lot of those guys that we were doing digital stuff with and all that, it fed right into it. And we started doing it. We just have a 5-man crew. Yeah. We all are very good friends. We fuck around. We go party. We have a good time. Nobody takes anything serious, and it's just worked. And I think the reason that have been as successful as we've been is we've kind of, and it's something for any business, like you've got professionals, right? I've got this group of young guys. At the time, they were all under 30 and they'd never had their shot. They'd produced other shows. Like Mikey was under Jose's thumb. Jose was the king of that castle. I just do what I'm told, dude. You know how to make a cool video. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to do my bit. And, Rush feels the same way. We're not in there trying to be producers. Yeah. Actually, we are, and then we get in huge fights over it. Everybody's got $1 million fucking idea. But, I mean, you let the pros do what they do. You kind of do what you do. Rush is probably a better captain, and he can throw the shit out of a cast net, and I can talk a little bit better, and I know, about different fisheries around the world. He hasn't traveled, and we all just kind of brought our strong suits to the table, and, now we're one of the top shows on the Discovery block there, and we do real well online, and we've just been super fortunate.
Is it on Discovery now, too?
Discovery Channel, yeah.
No way.
Oh, yeah, for all last season, all this season.
No way.
Yeah. No, everybody's like, I watch your show on YouTube. I'm like,
that's where I see it.
Am I buying time, airtime? Sunday morning, 7 a.m., Discovery Channel, man.
Dude.
They're playing Deadliest Catch right before us.
That's awesome,
it's crazy.
Dude.
So...
Is it on Netflix too?
It's been huge. Not yet. I'm working on that. I want that. Yeah. That's something I really, really want. Like, we're internet guys. The TV thing for me is almost like putting out a print magazine. It's kind of working a little backwards, but you got to follow the right channels. And Netflix has got like 2 fishing shows on it. One's that Albacore show, which is whatever. It's kind of more of a drama thing. And then a guy in Australia, Al McGlashan's got his show on there.
There's a good a contest one, but it's a European one. I forgot what it's called, but my friend Phil told me about it. But I watched it and I'm like, oh, it's interesting.
Really?
It was the Netherlands. They're fishing over there, but I'll look for shows all the time. Like there's something just to watch.
They've got they started out doing their own series. They started doing movies and comedy stand-ups and all that. I think it's definitely going that way. And it's funny, like in my mind, Netflix holds more water than Discovery Channel.
Right.
You
didn't say that.
being an
You're on
internet
Discovery,
guy,
bro.
you know, trust me, I pay them good money to be on Discovery. But it's true. Like that to me seems like the future. And we saw this coming, especially being in the internet business, like Cox Cable, whoever you guys have up here, Xfinity, that model is not going to be around a long time.
No.
You
You got
know?
Hulu, you got, Netflix.
Yep. I mean, we're Amazon Fire people, right? We don't have Apple TV at our house, but I would say 85% of what we watch comes out of the Fire Stick.
And yeah, Amazon. I mean, Game of Thrones I'll watch through Amazon.
Straight up. And so that's why we knew this early on. We have apps. So any device pretty much that has an app store. So your Apple TV, your Samsung TV, Amazon Fire, Roku, there's a couple more I can't think of. You can go to the app store and there's a local knowledge app.
Yeah.
Native. And you can just watch every single episode in there. It doesn't cost you a nickel. Again, value, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to be charging people for this stuff. We want everybody to see it, as much exposure as possible. Yada. We put it up on YouTube. The minute the thing goes live on TV, we run the whole episode on YouTube for free.
Perfect.
Commercial free.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get it seen. It's a different model than the old days of, TV and trying to drive everybody to your website or what we just want. Dude, if you see a teaser for our show and you like it, we won. You watch a full version, we've won. And it's sort of a different model.
Content is king, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And that's why we're not on Outdoor Channel. Outdoor Channel wants you to not air your shows online until like a year and a half after they've run on there
Is that their fucking rain?
again.
Motherfucker.
I'm
like, really?
I swear we're never going to be able to fish again. This has been the.
I know. I was planning on fishing on Saturday, but
Saturday I think you'll be okay. Sunday it starts and it's going to be hard.
Is it? Oh man, fuck. I just want a little break,
I'm telling you, between the wind and the rain this spring
Right.
has been like, there's bluefin like 25 miles from my boat and I can't get to them.
Man.
The weather's just been brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. For California, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing you learn fishing in Florida. They've got much better fishing. I mean, honestly, as objective as I can be, their fishing's better. Their weather sucks.
Really?
It'll blow for a week straight. I mean, they don't have swells, but they've got wind chop that would scare the shit out of a West Coast guy.
Yeah, I bet getting caught out there on
It's
your
so
boat.
close. I mean, dude, it's as close together as this room is wide, 6 footers.
Shit, dude.
It's gnarly. There's a reason why they're all running those giant center consoles.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Right?
You try to do that like in a sport fish or whatever, you're just gonna get blown all around and beat to crap.
Fuck, man.
And it's a different world.
Yeah.
And it is cool. If you've fished here and you've done a ton of it, man, take a trip to Key West. It won't kill you.
Yeah.
Call Rushy. He'll take you fishing. You'll see some shit that we just don't have.
Yeah.
Grouper and snapper fishing is like my favorite thing to do. Here I can go down into Mexico and do it, but honestly, a lot of times Key West is better.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a great fishery. There's so much stuff to see, and there's just a lot of fishing history if you're into that.
You try to get down there a lot to fish as much as you can.
Even just for filming, I'm
Really?
over there 5, 6, 7 times a year. I go over there and do business with iCast, and I have meetings and stuff like that. Every time I'm over there, I'm trying to get a day or a couple days in on the water. And it's been real cool having Rush, who's like, he's the local son for Key West, born and raised, charter guy. He's been on all the TV shows over the years, all that. Like, I'm getting to see his fishery, whether it's on TV or not, just like he's getting to see ours.
Yeah.
He comes out here, and the first shoot we do, I take him to Abreojos to catch grouper. Nobody in California does that shit. I mean, there's a handful of guys that know how to get down there, that know the right guys to get you on the fish and do all that stuff. He cut that whole learning curve out 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm over his way smashing giant snappers and big groupers and all. So it's been real cool. And that's sort of where the show concept came about. Like, I'll show you mine, you show me yours kind of thing. And, fortunately it's just fisheries we're talking about. But it's been a real cool model. He's got that Florida thing wired, and I've got a lot of friends in a lot of places that we've gone and visited, and we put together some pretty awesome trips and been able to share that on TV with our viewers.
Do you guys do any freshwater stuff?
No.
Nothing.
He hates it.
You don't like freshwater at all?
I don't know. I like to trout fish. So I go to the Sierra still a couple times a year.
Yeah.
I go to Barrett for the opener, right before the opener. We get a media day in there.
Yeah.
And that's my freshwater fishing.
Really?
Just, there's no hunt. And I think that's what really, for me, like, that's why I like offshore fishing. I like to go find.
You don't like calico fishing then, really? Either,
No, I do like calico fishing, but I'm not in the middle of summer, when Moyer and those clowns are there catching calicos. I'm like, whatever, dude. Come on, let's go catch some real fish. That's like
good old Moyer, dude.
in the winter. Yeah, he's my boy. He's
funny.
He
dude.
lives right up the street from me. He's a kook. I like all those guys. They're such good dudes. We have a good time beating each other up.
Yeah.
But, that's not my thing. My thing really is like, I look forward to April, May in a normal season when I'm not catching bluefin, but chasing yellowtail on kelp patties or in the flats at the Coronado Islands. I mean, that's the start of the fishing season, March, April, and that gets me fired up.
Yeah.
The other stuff is like killing time, running the boat. I've gotten really into catching cod, which I've always hated.
Really?
Not
Okay.
enough action. Fish weren't big enough, whatever. And now I'm like a cod dork. I'm like ashamed to admit it. But I'm all about it, man. Like
Something new, huh? Something
new, different. You never know what's going to
different
come
techniques,
up.
right? Yeah.
Trying to find bigger ones.
Yeah.
There's a million spots to catch them on. Trying to find a better one. You know, going deeper, going shallow. Just that whole thing. I don't know. I like to put the pieces together.
Yeah.
You know, like with the kite fishing up here. That didn't start here. You know, we were doing that down in Puerto Vallarta with dead baits in 2004, 2005. The guys I know, like I caught one of the first bigger bluefin up here.
Really?
And I had a couple buddies from Cabo that were smashed them on the Gordo. We started to hear rumors about these fish. And then I saw a buddy of mine sent me a picture when I'm like, where'd you get that? And he's like, up here. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, skipping the kite. I go, what? He got the download from him, you know, as a yacht captain, kind of told me what they were doing. I went out, I don't think it was 2 days later, and it took me and Jason maybe 10 minutes to get our first kite bite on the 43.
Yeah.
And we saw that. And nobody wanted to take the rod, so I got to be the angler. And I put the harness on, I smashed that thing in like 15 minutes. Jason sticks it in the head, and we're just looking at each other like,
really?
what the fuck just happened? I mean, like, dude, these are the glory days of West Coast fishing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fortunate. Like, I've gotten to fish with some of the old guys. You know, like the Beak is a really good friend of mine. You guys might not even know who he is.
No,
he's a legendary yacht captain. He's fished here, won every marlin tournament, everything. Been doing it for years and years. And I think Beak's like 175 now. I mean, he's right up there. He'll tell you that. He's like in his early 70s, I think, or mid 70s. I go to lunch with the dude once a month. Like, he's awesome.
Yeah,
he's like
cool,
that you know, that uncle that's been there and done that. And I've gotten to fish with Steve Lasley, who's the best captain on this coast, and nobody will argue that. And Pete Grossbeck, who's right there with him. These guys have fished together, and these guys are all 60s and 70s, and it gives you a whole nother perspective. You know, spending days and days in binoculars with those guys or whatever. And when the Beak, who's 75, who's seen God knows how many El Ninos and all that shit, he's like, young man, get out there and enjoy this, because it's never going to get better.
Yeah.
Never. I mean, the shit we have seen since that El Nino, we had 14 wahoo on our boat. What?
That's wild.
That never could have happened. It's an impossibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and that's what I tell people now, like, if you just go, you have to go. It's so good. I mean, the yellowtail bite that we've had, and the bluefin, and you know, that El Nino, and I mean, we've been so blessed.
See, Justin's done all this. I've never caught a yellowtail. I say this all the time. People fucking complain on your site about me saying it all the time.
You've never caught a yellowtail?
Nope. I'm a calico and freshwater bass guy.
Oh man, that's kind of tough.
So yeah,
I wouldn't go around telling people.
This year's my goal is to catch a yellowtail. I might go out with Dwayne and my buddy Andy. So if I can, I'm going to jump on their boat and grab a yellowtail. But yeah, I mean, I'm still fresh in the whole saltwater thing, you know, like I'm a surf fishing guy. So that's what I did before.
Yeah.
I bought a bass boat, but I ended up using it more because I'm closer to the harbor for calico.
Fishing the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I'm learning as I go. So I learn all these things from people. It's awesome, you know, and hearing all these stories. Justin's been doing his whole life.
Yeah.
So yeah,
not as much as I want to though, daily.
No, nobody is. Oh well, that's the joke. It's like, you want to fish less, get in the fishing business.
Yeah.
I swear, man, you don't get to fish until the show came around. Like, man, you're so busy working. You know,
that's what people told me too. They're like, just make sure you still fish, and I'm like, yeah, I'll fish. Fuck, man, this fucking podcast has taken up a lot more time than I thought. You know,
that's what happens.
Yeah. But it's fun. Like, I get to meet people like you, all kinds of people. Decker, you know, like Eric Ben, Kevin Matson. These guys have crazy stories.
Yeah.
That people probably would have never heard, but now they get to hear it, you know.
Yeah. You got to get down there, man. I mean, that's such a big turning point. That first yellow, I remember my first one. I remember like it was yesterday, you know.
So like I was 3 years old.
No, I was on the Prowler with Buzz at the Coronado Islands a million years ago, and I caught my first yellowtail, and I thought that thing was going to kill me. You know, awesome. It had to be all of a vicious 15 pounds or something, but I don't know, man. There's stuff like that you like. I remember my first yellowfin tuna, like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of that stuff is just not lost. I've been fortunate to fish in a million places and catch a ton of cool shit, but like that stuff in your backyard, there's no substitute for it. And like with the show, that's what we're trying to convey, you know, is kind of get out and enjoy your fishery and go see some other stuff and see the other side of the coin. And, you know, I sent a bunch of people from San Diego over to go fish with Rush.
Yeah.
And they're just blown away.
Yeah.
They come back with all these stories. We got these amberjacks. I'm like, that's a shit fish in the back of my head. I'm like, don't want to bust any bubbles. Like, look at this giant barracuda. I'm like, yeah, I'd cut that up for shark bait. All through somebody, you know, new eyes or whatever. I mean, that's what's so cool about that fish. You can go out any day of the year and catch a 50, 60 pound fish. You come over here and you come down, you're like, hey, dude, put me on a 50 pound fish in December in a normal year. I'm like, yeah, good luck. It's not possible, you know? So it's cool to go see the other side of the coin and get a little bit out of your box. And fortunately for us, the shows let us do that.
Yeah. How do you think, now this is a question I'm starting to ask more, social media has affected the whole fishing industry. You've seen it all. You're someone that probably has a really good opinion on it because you started kind of something before Instagram, Facebook was around.
Yep.
Now you've seen the kind of transform from, your site to more having to pump stuff off of Instagram, you know. How do you feel about that? How double-edged sword?
I mean, I think everybody would agree it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think on a whole, it's a good thing. If people are talking about fishing, more people are going to pay attention, and more people are going to get into it.
Exactly.
And since the El Nino, that's one of the biggest things we've seen is like girls getting into fishing on the West Coast. In Florida, man, those girls are rednecks. Their culture in Florida is fishing.
How many times have you seen people hand off?
A lot. I'm fine with that. Dude, if it gets you stoked on fishing, man, somebody's got to hand you your first yellowtail. Take it.
No, but I'm saying these girls that a lot of them are models.
With that, no, I'm not talking about the Insta skanks.
Okay.
I'm talking about chicks that really get it. And I know some girls like our friend Mo in Louisiana. She drives a 39 CV and runs charters every single day of the year.
That's awesome.
She gets it.
Yeah.
She's in the tower and she will whip your ass, boy. She is CrossFitting every morning at 4 a.m. There's a lot of girls like that.
Yeah, we're trying to find a girl. Like, I don't know a lot of women that fish, but locally, you know, because we haven't had a woman on the show yet. Yeah. So it's kind of like trying to find women that, you know.
Dude, we've got a handful of good ones over here, too.
Yeah, I've heard.
We've got some girls that get after it, you know, and are not this there holding up their boyfriend's fish kind of thing. You know, so I think that's good. I mean, that's a good part of social media, right? Or maybe you got a dude at work who's kind of like always wanted to do it, but your dad wasn't a fisherman. You know, and that's my case. My dad wasn't a fisherman, but my other side of the family was, so it got me started. You know, and I think this is a dying sport. Don't kid yourself. And there are people trying to take your right to fish away from you every single day. So the more people we get fired up about it and the more people we get out on the water, the better off our industry is. You know, and a lot of guys right now have got a very, very short memory. You couldn't give away a fucking fishing charter in 08, 09. Party boats were getting repossessed. Dude, you could go down to the docks and you would see every third boat chained to the dock.
Fuck.
Those days were not that's 10 years ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? The MLPA, nobody showed up. We got our asses kicked. We lost a lot of valuable fishing space. So the more kids, the more, and I've made this thing with myself. Like I try to take at least 2 buddies and their kids fishing who would not be able to get out of the water otherwise. And dude, I'm not talking about taking them tuna fishing. You know, I'm talking about like my buddy and he brings on his 2 kids that are wild as shit, 7 and 5 or whatever, tearing the boat apart, doing backflips off the bait tank, killing sardines, whatever.
That's all they want to do, right?
Oh, it's all every kid wants to kill your bait. That's all. That's like their happiest thing. But take them to the kelp line, and I throw a chum bucket in, and it's mackerel. Yeah. And the mackerel turn into a couple calicos, and these kids, you see the look in their face, man. That kid's never gonna forget that. Yeah. You know, and I think we all should have that obligation because fishermen are not being born every day. Yeah. You know, and especially in a state like ours, and what happens in California. As soon as we had the MLPAs, guess what they did in Florida? Same shit. They closed the snapper fishery. Oh, shit. All on bad science. Just like the MPAs here, the reason they were able to get that through was they went to places where fish should be. And I'm paraphrasing a massive issue. But they went to like the 302 in February and they're like, well, there's no tuna here. We better shut this down until they recover. I mean, that's essentially what they did with a lot of their samplings. They went to places where fish weren't supposed to be at the times they were. They had science that was paid for by environmental groups who, if you don't understand how that whole world of grants and all that works is, you give us money, we give you the desired result. I mean, there's obviously that's very much oversimplifying it, but there's a lot of that stuff, you know, and most of that stuff is pointed right at the heads of California sportsmen. You know, and I'm not just a fisherman, I'm a hunter too. And it's just, I mean, dude,
Yeah,
we're
that's a
getting it-
whole nother thing. You guys do hunting and you do.
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
that's something else I'm very, very passionate about, you know, and like we're getting attacked from every angle. So in my mind, the more people you can not just take fishing, but get them some early success. You know, when you're 6, a fucking mackerel is like catching a giant tuna or whatever. Like, you know, get them stoked on it and get these kids wound up and take your girlfriend. And, you know, I think it's just so important to keep this sport moving and moving forward and not just make it like the good guys club,
Yeah, definitely.
you know?
Yeah, that's a big point to like push on because I mean,
Totally, man. If you can just get kids out, if you can't do it, throw a few bucks to Friends Rollo. They're taking kids fishing.
yeah,
You know, we've all got a few bucks we can throw at something like this, or, you know, support CCA or do any of that
Yeah,
stuff. Just
yeah.
get out there because we are, like I said, these are the golden years of fishing. The last time we had fishing in California like we have right now, no one was alive to see it. I'm not
Dude,
joking.
Yeah, that's
The Tuna Club at Avalon, right? That was all founded at the turn of the century.
Yeah.
The last time we had bluefin like this in our water started in 1908, and it lasted about 10 years.
Fuck.
So, like, this is as good as it's. I don't know what the fuck am I doing when this is over.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to cry for a couple seasons or something. But, like, what do you mean I got in my whole life fishing here locally for the last 26 years since I've been saltwater fishing, my biggest tuna before this all started locally was like a 60-pound bluefin.
Yeah.
You know, now it's almost 300.
Yeah, that's the next thing I wanted to ask you is your personal best fish. Talk about some of them. I'm
Oh,
sure you got a
man.
lot of them.
Yeah,
Fuck,
I
man.
hate to tell fish story. I've been very, very fortunate and very prepared, and I've caught, dude, every big fish I could ever want, and
Damn.
like, yeah, I've just been real lucky. And for me, when I get them, I don't lose them. To me, that's a big thing. Like if I've got a fish hooked up, my reel's gonna be right.
Yeah.
My top shot, I didn't buy it. I made it myself. You know, and this bluefin fishing that we've had, you know, we've been real successful on the kite, caught many dozens, over 100. We've lost 2.
Wow.
One was a yummy that we didn't rig, and somebody put a cheaper hook in there, and the hook opened up. And dude, that was like that fish was 300. I mean, it was right there. We were ready to kill it, and then we had another pulled hook, and that's been it. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I haven't had a top shot failure. I haven't run I'm more proud of the fish I don't lose than the fish I do, because that's the thing with chasing bigger fish. It's like you gotta be prepared. Your shit's gotta be airtight.
Yeah.
You know, don't know how to make a top shot? Learn. It's not that hard. Make sure you know your top shot is 100%. You know, and to me, that's super important. And, you know, we do a lot of fishing in PV during the glory days down there, 05 to like 09. And, man, that was just so crucial. Those fish were so big that if your shit was not airtight, from your crimp to your hook to what gear you're using, you'd lose them, you know? And so that to me has been more important than the actual fish I've caught. But, you know, I've been more than lucky. I mean, I've caught giant bluefin in Canada. I've got a couple over 3 yellowfins, which is a dream. Never thought I'd get
Yeah.
one. Had another one. I was like 294, son of a bitch. So close. 3 over 3. Like I could fall over at that point. you
Yeah,
know, and just
yeah.
like, I got to fish Australia. That's
Amazing, right?
best trip I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
Ever. Period. Like,
Yeah. All right, we took a little break. You can hear the rain on the outside now, setting the scene. But we're really stoked that we had Ollie on. Do you have any sponsors you want to give a shout out to? And we want to know your local tackle shop if you were going to hit one up down in San Diego.
oh man, sponsor wise, we got a bunch. I don't need to plug them. We do a good job for those guys. But I'm very fortunate. There's a few companies that, man, whatever bullshit I come up with, they're like, we're in. And that would be like the AFCOs and Costa. You know, we work really closely with those guys. You know, Penn's been really good to us as well. And we got Evan Rude. Evan Rude is what's made local knowledge possible. They're awesome. So I'm super fortunate. And then we work with, you know, on the BD side, we work with everybody in this business. And we've got good long-term relationships. So tackle stores. That's a tough one. Like I try to bounce around a little bit, you know, like Dana Landing. So I've been fishing out of there a lot. I got a boat there that I run a bunch, and those guys are absolutely awesome. Johnny and Steve take good care of you. Very humble. You know, you can go in and ask a stupid question. You're not going to get shot down for it. Also Squidco, Joey and those guys over there in San Diego. I mean, honestly the best customer service in just about anything you could ever imagine. They do such a good job. It's such a hometown mom and pop shop. And then the other one is Ricky and the guys over at Fisherman's Landing. They're awesome. They're a little more out of my way, so I probably don't get over there as much.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if I want to know how something needs to be rigged or whatever, man, I just shoot Ricky a text. Those guys get right back. They do a really good job. Man, we're fortunate. In San Diego, we got, you guys seem a lot more spread out up here. We've only got really 2 ports. Save for Oceanside, which is almost, to Orange County. So
Yeah.
we got a few good shops and a lot of good fishermen, and having the fleet right there is a big part of that. So, man, I'm lucky. I feel like I live in the sport fishing capital of the world, if not the West Coast.
That's our next move, is try to hit more San Diego dudes. I mean, we try to hit. Like I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just going. We're going as we go, and so it's like I want to move out a little more. So if you guys have ideas for San Diego guys you guys want to hear, message the podcast, of course. Thank you to Ollie. We really appreciate you coming on, man. Taking your time out to drive up here. Like I told everyone else, we really appreciate that.
Dude,
Thank you so
happy to
much.
do it. You're doing a good thing for the industry, man. Like, it's so grassroots. I dig it, and I dig this industry doesn't need any more experts. We need more guys. I'm telling you.
I'll tell you what, I'm a fucking idiot over here, so I'm not.
Hey, you're a little behind me. I'm not, like I told you, man, I'm just a fat kid with a dream. That's it. Like, it's good, though. I really dig what you guys are doing. I dig that you guys are trying to learn. I like the variety you guys are doing, and anything that gets people more stoked on going out and catching a fish, I think is awesome, man. Stick with it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Listen to the next podcast coming out. You should hear this in a couple of weeks, or I guess not really, because it's going to go out whenever I want it to. But thank you for listening. Stay tuned, guys. Bye.
Thanks for having me.